causes some people to completely hit a weight loss plateau and stop losing weight. Today I'm going to be sharing the 5 most common reasons that I see cause people to plateau so that you can avoid these and achieve your wellness goal. Alright guys, if you're new to my channel and you don't know who I am, my name's Autumn and I'm a certified clinical nutritionist with my master's nutrition human performance. On my channel, I'm typically talking about the science-backed and holistic methods that you can use in order to achieve your weight loss or wellness dreams. So if you have a wellness goal in mind, make sure that you hit subscribe. Now, particularly I'm known for diving into the very specifics of what's happening within the body. So fair warning, this is going to be a little bit more of a science-y video. So if you aren't interested in the intricacies of what's going on in the body when you hit a weight loss plateau, then this might not be the video for you. So let's dive into the first reason, a moderately or very high proportion of carbohydrates in your diet. The reason why this factor is very big for when it comes to hitting that plateau is because carbohydrates are the macronutrient that causes the release of the storing hormone insulin. In fact, when insulin is present, it locks up your fat cells so that that fuel can't be used as a source of energy. Those higher levels of insulin is really what's going to dictate whether or not you store your food or you use it for energy. Hypothetically speaking, let's say that you have about 2,000 calories that you eat in a day. And because your insulin levels are high, because you had a higher amount of carbohydrates from those 2,000 calories, your body hypothetically stores around 1,500 of those calories and leaves only 500 of those calories to be used as energy within the body. Because you have such a low amount of energy that's left as actual fuel for the body, because the rest is stored, this is going to cause you to increase hunger and cravings because your body's searching for more energy in order to compensate for the lack of that usable energy. Because remember, 1,500 of those calories are stored immediately as fat. Now on the flip side, if your insulin levels are low, again, hypothetically speaking, let's say you have 2,000 calories, but your insulin is low, so you store much less of it. Let's say 500 of those calories. And instead you have 1,500 calories available for you to use as energy for the body. That means that you won't be hungry, that you'll be more energized, and you won't experience cravings because you actually had the fuel that's usable and not just stored to use for your daily activities. So something that you can do in order to keep your insulin levels lower so that you have more usable energy rather than stored energy is to make sure that your meals incorporate the foods that don't stimulate insulin, like protein, fat, and fiber. In fact, you can even test out my favorite fat burning smoothie recipe right here. All right, number 2, cutting calories. Now, when you go to cut calories or you're in a state of semi-starvation, then inevitably you will lose weight in the beginning. But as your body responds to this lower level of nutrition, it decreases your metabolism, aka your BMR, and makes it so that you burn less energy at rest and cause you to plateau. And that's where you'll see people continuing to reduce their calories, continuing to get less nutrition in order to fight against that steadily decreasing metabolism or BMR in order to achieve even somewhat of the same result as they initially got with that initial calorie restriction. And not only is it harder to lose weight as you continue to cut calories, but it's much easier to gain weight as well. Again, hypothetically speaking, let's say that your BMR dropped from 1,500 calories to 1,000 calories. And not only will this lead to plateauing because of that constantly decreasing BMR, but it'll also make it so much easier for your body to gain back that weight because it's now burning less energy at rest, which means that it takes less food than before to gain back the weight. And in fact, what's really crazy to me is that in studies where they're actually studying the effects of long-term starvation, the diets were around 1,600 or more specifically on average around 1,570 calories per day. And these were known as semi-starvation diets. In fact, Ansel Keys' Minnesota starvation study is probably one of the most famous examples of this. And he noted that while his participants were on this semi-starvation diet of around 1,570 calories per day, the study participants significantly lost muscle. They started becoming obsessed with their food, and when they're going to eat next, they were constantly hungry. Some even turned manic while following this semi-starvation diet protocol. And once they were allowed to eat as much as they wanted to, some would eat upwards of 11,500 calories per day, which is more than 3 times the amount that they were eating prior to this experiment, and would still complain about feeling hungry for many months after the experiment ended. And what blows my mind is that so many of these diets that relate around calorie restriction in order to achieve their goals have 1,600 calories as the highest amount. In fact, most of them that I see are anywhere between 800 to 1,200 calories per day, which is nuts when you think about the negative effects that Ansel Keys was specifically studying in regards starts to starvation at 1,600 calories per day. Now, instead of restricting calories, which not only will inevitably lead to a plateau, but also will lead to you constantly feeling hungry and could even long-term damage your metabolism, as we saw with the starvation diet study, instead focus on the mechanisms that actually cause storing. That way you don't even have to emphasize calorie restriction in order to achieve your goals. All right, number 3, sugar sneaks back in. You can start with a drizzle of honey or a sprinkle of granola on your smoothie, but even small amounts of these added sugars throughout the day can really lead to an impressive amount of sugar that raises the insulin and therefore the storing mechanisms. In fact, this is something that I talked with one of the AM peeps about a few months ago on my YouTube channel, where she noticed that she was plateauing in her results because she started to add in these sugar dense ingredients into her diet.
With eating until you're satiated.
Yeah.
Because that's a very new thing for me, coming from eating 3 meals and 2 snacks.
Right.
Like, I was always used to kind of being like a little hungry.
Slightly hungry all the
time.
Right.
So I think I've done the opposite now, where I've kind of gone like a little overboard. So I'm like, I only get 3 meals. I'm gonna eat like till I'm
Why do you
full.
think that? Why do you think you're going overboard?
Because I think I'm like plateauing.
I remember when I posted that smoothies mistakes. That you said that you were making some of the smoothies mistakes. It's not necessarily the amount of food, it's what you're adding in.
Granola.
Yeah.
It's not that you can never treat yourself to something that has sugar ever again, but it's important to keep in mind that if you do have a weight loss goal, you want to limit the added sugars as much as possible. Otherwise, you're just fighting your physiology with that increased insulin. And if you are looking to treat yourself, I have some really great lower sugar dessert options that you can check out right here. All right, number 4, you're hungry. Satiety is a massively important factor when it comes to achieving a weight loss goal. When you don't eat until satiated, this leads your body to craving a faster source of energy and therefore increase the sugar and carbohydrate cravings. In fact, you may even notice this if throughout the day, if you followed a calorie restricted type of diet protocol, and then by the time it comes to 3 p.m. or dinner, you're starved and you're craving chocolate or some other type of sugar. This is a really great example of that. And you can only fight those cravings for so long. It still really is a matter of fighting your physiology, which your physiology will always win. And this will inevitably lead to snacking on those carbohydrate and sugar dense ingredients like chips and crackers and cookies. Now, to make sure that you don't get these cravings, the best thing you can do is to make sure that you are eating until satiated and really focusing on the foods like the protein, the fat, and the fiber that will help to keep you feeling satisfied between those meals. And number 5, snacking throughout the day. Now, really, this is a matter of eating 5 to 7 small meals versus eating 2 to 3 larger meals. And even if it's the same amount of food that you're eating, but one spread out versus the 2 to 3 meals throughout the day, when you eat those multiple small meals throughout the day, it means that you're constantly having a stream of food coming in, which means that you're constantly going to be in that storing mode of having that higher amount of insulin in order to deal with those carbohydrates coming in and storing them. Rather, if you eat the 2 to 3 large meals and eat until satiated so that you don't have to eat multiple small meals throughout the day, this allows for your insulin to dip back down between those meals, which is exactly what we want when we're looking to tap into fat burning mechanisms. And if weight loss is your goal, I highly recommend that you check out this video on the 10 ways that you can achieve your weight loss goal without counting calories. Also, if you're new to my channel and you love the science-backed information, make sure you subscribe right here. Come out with new videos every Tuesday and Thursday. All right, guys, thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in my next video.